welcome to Maritime SoftwareHub. On this episode, I'm really excited to be speaking to Kristin Omholt-Jensen, who's the founder and CEO of Maritime Optima. She's got a really interesting background. She's done a lot of investment in the maritime technology space and also a number of other businesses. Some of them are kind of not-for-profits, others are, and I'm going to have hopefully a real kind of deep dive into the role of investment within technology businesses and perhaps how business owners can kind of position themselves to be more attractive to potential buyers. So really looking forward to this one. Hopefully, from my point of view, we can try and learn a lot as well. So thanks for tuning in and I hope you enjoy. Hi, Kristin. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Callum. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you on. I've been obviously being a big fan of Maritime Optima's sort of solutions and the news that's been going on around the business and also a lot of the projects that you've been working on. So it's really fascinating. And I'm sure our listeners are going to enjoy learning more about your background.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
No, you're very welcome. Well, on that note, I'd love to, if you could share a bit of an overview of your background and the main projects that you've worked on and that you're focusing on at this time.
I can start by saying that I'm actually born on the west coast of Norway, and my father was a captain sailing for Leif Høeg for many years. So most of my childhood I've been on board his vessels and traveling around the world. So from an educational background, I have like a master's degree in shipping, finance and international trade. And I've been doing shipping projects most of my life, either as a chartering manager or in business development. Also involved in educational programs like the setting up an executive MBA for Nanyang Business School and the Norwegian Management School. And then I also been heading the first Northern Sea Route project, sending a dry cargo vessel through the Northeast Passage, which was back in 2010.
Amazing.
And before I started Maritime Optima, I had like two other startups. One, IC, made Embark nautical maps for boaters, like Google Maps, a lot of inspiration from Google Maps. And then Rendre with the Streambeam product, like having a software bringing building information models out on the construction sites instead of paper drawings. But my main product now is Maritime Optima, and which is a modular and easy to use freemium software for the maritime industry. So, and besides Maritime Optima, I have invested in some other companies, of which maybe Decision is the biggest and most significant external software investment I've done. So, and Decision you should check out also is a software organizing meetings into being the most productive part of your day. So, and some real estates, but mostly my own is in place with Maritime Optima.
Extremely busy lady by the sounds of it, and it's really, really impressive and fantastic the journey you've been on, especially businesses that you started, kind of scaled and also exited as well. So we're going to touch upon that a little bit later. But the main theme of this discussion of this particular episode is going to be around investment, and in particular investment in the maritime technology space. So you've got lots of experience in that area, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about them in more detail. So obviously Maritime Optima, that's the primary focus at the moment. Can you tell a little bit more about how the business helps your clients with their kind of digital journey?
Yeah, that's a pleasure. It's my most favorite question to have.
Okay,
you
good.
want to help maritime professionals unlock actually what I call the digital potential by providing intelligent and easy to use software based on industry knowledge, big data, and algorithms like machine learning. We want all the maritime professionals working in this industry to have access to a quality assured, live updated, also relevant and quality assured information to make it easier for them to access relevant information for their decision makings. So I think it's important to help people save time. It's a lot of information out there today, but it takes a lot of time to find it. So we want to help them to save time so they can have more time for their qualified decisions, maybe discuss in teams and digest new opportunities. And information in these days is like AIS, satellite, terrestrial data, public info from emails, phone calls, manual added information. I mean, you have information stored in so many silo softwares. I think the most interesting thing with the Ship Intel now is actually to try to unlock that potential for also the small and medium-sized company. So in Ship Intel, you can create a Ship Intel as a basic ship account, as a Ship Intel basic account, as we call it, for free. It's a freemium software. Maybe the only real freemium software there is in the industry.
Yes,
you can invite
really
in.
interesting that you've gone down that model, which I'd love if you could elaborate on that a little bit more. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I think freemium is known in other industries. So I think like in this industry, it seems to be like something not happening. And when I talk to people, many people said to me, why hasn't this happened before in this industry? I think there is like many reasons for that. But most of the reasons are maybe that this industry hasn't been very interested in the digital journey so far. I think also it's like a kind of pre-COVID and after COVID for this industry. Most of the startups that have been starting are not here anymore. So I mean, it's also kind of challenging landscape for startups to survive in. So I think for this industry, it's like freemium seems like something very strange. But for all the businesses like we had in the construction business also, we run this freemium, not free trial, but freemium. Which is actually then helping people to explore the software themselves. They don't need to be called upon us by a lot of aggressive salespeople, but then we want to help them, want to support them, want to make them successful. A little bit different approach from traditional software.
No, it is definitely, and it's something. I mean, we've talked about very briefly as well. It's something we're doing on our new kind of Cordell Beaumont Academy with our new free online course for helping people a bit more to learn about the digital skills and that type of thing in the shipping space. So I think it's a great platform, a great way of getting engagement with businesses and things. So fantastic to hear more about that.
Yeah, but also for your educational program, I think is a very good business model, because I think the new trend is in a way that you need to give the users something for free, not a free trial, not something that is limited free for a period of time, but that you give something to like make them engaged, as you say. And because the most important thing now is to build loyal, active users. That's the key for successful softwares, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, well, it's really, really interesting. And I won't dive too deep about how then you kind of go into the more revenue generating kind of modules and solutions with Maritime Optima. But I'm sure it's obviously a next phase, which I'd love to hear about more, perhaps another time. Sure. But I guess switching to the main focus of the discussion, investment in businesses. So you've obviously had a great track record and a real kind of flair for it over the years. So what is it that you enjoy most about investing in different businesses?
It's actually to create something that might make a difference together with the team, having different skills and experience and thriving, working together. That's the most important motivation for me every day. So instead of putting money just in shares and like silent money in the bank, I prefer to put my money to work. So I love to achieve things together with people, and I think it's always a pleasure to meet people because they know so much. I can learn so much. And if we are able to put things together and actually work very well together, try together, do fun things together, build a great team, that's what's inspiring me every day. I think it's so fascinating. I think most of my project has been project that people have told me that you can't do. It's impossible. But by putting people together, owning the same ambition and make the people in the team thrive and explore and digest and discuss, that's what I love. I think it's so fascinating. There's so much good people out there.
Yeah, no, it really is. And how do you generally kind of find these new businesses that you want to kind of align with? Is it mainly networking? Do they get introduced to you?
I mean, when you have been around for a while, you have a pretty good and big network, and mostly it's network. It's also like friends, so friends contacting me for like being mentoring for them, asking about different things, asking mostly about my experience, of course. So it's mostly the network, I will say. So I'm not actively out there searching for investment opportunities in these days because I prefer to spend most of my time with Maritime Optima today.
Yes. Yeah. No, I guess for any, say, for example, if you were to spend a little more time looking for investment opportunities, and maybe if you go step back to what you've done in the past, when you've kind of reviewed different business opportunities and companies to invest in, what are the kind of fundamentals that you've been looking for in those businesses?
So it's mostly about the team, I think. I mean, but also if you like looking into this B2B software, I think it's a necessity to understand the industry that you are investing in or that software company is investing in. I think that's main importance to try to understand, because each industry has their own peculiars and differences. So understanding thoroughly the industry, the companies that are inside this industry and how they are knit together in their business models, that's very, very important to understand. But then I think also it's about the team, because the team can solve every unforeseen challenges that might occur. And there will be many of them because you can't plan for everything when you are a startup. You need to like also be curious enough to change things while rocking and working. So I think the most important thing as a second part is the team. Are they able to work together? Do they try together? Are they able to work agile and solve unforeseen challenges? That's maybe the most important thing. And of course, the team also needs to be passionate for what they are doing. They need also to really love working long hours and try to achieve something together. So I think understanding the industry, understanding the problem that this software company tries to solve, and the team. And maybe the team is the most important because a good team can sort out any problem and challenges that occur. What I don't look for is actually entrepreneur telling me that they have a hockey stick for revenues and everything is snowballing very quickly into the heaven, no limits. That is a type of entrepreneurs I'm not investing in. I have never been interested in that kind of storytelling.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And do you have a team around you, or perhaps in the past of when you have invested in businesses that you kind of lean on for expertise in, I don't know, either financial analysis or other areas where you look at different businesses, or do you solely focus it on yourself?
No. It's always about people. And I think, when I started the first company, it was mainly my energy, maybe my ambitions, and try to recruit people to join my goals and ambitions. But being around for some years, and this is like my third startup, which I really initiated. There's a lot of people here been working with me together with me in the previous companies, previous project. Investors joining me is a part of my network. Also, like public funding in Norway, have a good network, have kind of achieved goals together with the people before, make it much easier when you start all over again. So it's actually then is a kind of privilege to be experienced.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you needed to do everything more or less yourself, but being around for some years, you're working together with a solid team.
No, I completely agree. If you were to start up another business at some point in the future, would you ever consider starting up by yourself? Or would you always think, you know what, every time now I'd like to have somebody else, just the co-founder kind of with me? Or are you completely happy doing things by yourself to start with?
Yeah, so I think I have a tech partner, Robert and me. We are like a kind of couple working together for so many years now, and it works perfect. He has a solid
Brilliant.
tech background, and I is more on the commercial side. But of course, we are learning and training each other also. So I don't see myself going into software companies without joining my tech colleague, because we are like 1 + 1 is 3 instead of 2. So we in a way belongs together when it comes to setting up new businesses.
Briefly interrupt this episode to talk to you about our brand new Cordell Beaumont Academy. First suite of courses is in build mode at the moment, and the initial course that we're going to roll out is called the Digital Skills Accelerator. Really excited about this. Essentially, from my recruitment experience and from our team's kind of day-to-day interaction with different businesses in the maritime technology space and also the commercial shipping space, we're seeing there's a bit of a disconnect between people with perhaps the combination of maritime and technology experience. So what we're trying to do is provide some very high-level courses, online courses, kind of in video format, bite-sized, 4, 5, 6 minutes per lesson, just giving a high-level overview of the different areas within maritime technology. So that could be perhaps focusing on weather routing or, I don't know, vessel performance solutions, I don't know, pre and post fixture, sort of data associated with cargo flows, that type of thing. So each episode will have a specific topic that I'll run through. And the idea is to try and help people perhaps that are maybe they're in a shipbroking role right now, or they are a vessel operator for a ship owner, and obviously they're using technology day to day, or they're being encouraged to use technology, but perhaps they don't have a kind of too much awareness of the bigger picture or the other areas across the maritime technology and the satellite communication space. So the goal is to try and help those people that are new to the digital side of shipping. And also, as we evolve, we're going to produce more in-depth courses. So the initial Digital Shipping Skills Accelerator course is going to be run by myself. And then as we evolve into the more kind of advanced kind of masterclass sort of courses, that's mainly going to be held by different industry experts. So it'll be a combination of lecturers, people from businesses, people from the ship owning side. So I'm really excited to get that up and running, and that'll be with you very shortly. So if you're interested, please do drop me a note on LinkedIn or message Callum at cordelbeaumont.com, and we'll be able to share a few more details. But I have been posting a little bit about that on LinkedIn recently. So thank you for listening. Back to the episode. No, that makes excellent sense. Good. Okay. And I guess your view of the obviously the investment in the maritime space is shifted and kind of grown and fluctuated a lot over the last, say, 5 to 10 years or so, especially when it comes to technology. So what's kind of your view of the investment in the maritime technology over the last, say, 5 years or so?
Oh, that depends. How much time do I have?
Yeah.
I think the landscape for software and technology in the maritime industry is very fascinating to discuss. There are also like a huge differences between what's going on shore in the offices and versus what's going on board the vessels. So new vessels today tend to be high-tech assets driven by environmental legislation, IMO, the countries, connectivity between the vessels and the offices. Cyber security, of course, but the tech is available there. So So here we are more talking about how much money you want to invest and when do you do the investment. And navigational software has been around for many years already. And now you also find much better like maintenance systems on board the vessels. So you have Internet of Things, you have sensors, you have good connectivity on board the vessel. So I think like the vessels as assets are becoming very advanced in these days. I think there is more, the biggest question for software on board is more, are you willing to share the data from a business point of view? For software implemented in the offices, I think it's a bit different landscape. So I would say like 4 years ago when I decided to go with Maritime Optima, I did some research on the web, talked to old business friends, mapped their software, thought about my tech experience from what I have achieved outside the maritime industry for some years. And I thought, this can't be true. It seems as these offices are still working in a kind of stone age, while other industry have started moving to cloud solutions, softwares as a service, mobile phones, etc. Nothing seems to have happened in the maritime industry during the last year. That was 4 years ago. And then came COVID, and they started to notice that this themselves then. So the software vendors, but moving away from legacy software into the cloud software and trying to get a design for large screens to fit into small mobile devices, that's not necessarily a quick fix. So I think like there were a lot of new challenges popping up during the COVID. And then you had the startups. I will say before the COVID, it was kind of tough times for the maritime startups because most of them are not here anymore, and others are backed by majority industrial owners, which also maybe influence the softwares and their decisions because they might be biased. Ownership might come from ship owners, brokers, classification companies, etc. And it seems like it was like a kind of very difficult tech landscape, I will say, popping up during the COVID. Then it was like before and after COVID, and the same goes for investors. I think the biggest change now is like post-COVID and also what's happening with this ChatGPT and OpenAI AI technology. And I think for the investors, though, it becomes also either you look upon this kind of landscape as a land of opportunity, or you look upon it as something that you want to stay out of. So I think like also capital has been poured into the industry, trying to consolidating this software sphere in the maritime sector. And most of those investment companies are large PE or venture companies dominating mostly UK and US. So there has like started a kind of consolidation race among these big investors. So I'm very interesting to see what's happening now during the the next 2-3 years in this landscape. And then we have big companies telling others that they will be the monopolist and they would be the only one available within some years. That's something I don't believe in. I don't think there will be one winner in this game. I think it will be many because the industry's DNA is made up by competition. And you have so many variations that you need to take into considerations also. So I don't think there will be one winning big unity. I think it will be a myriad of companies.
Yeah. And also the industry itself, for example, for ship owners, not every ship owner has 200 vessels. You have a whole mixture of owners with different size fleets. They prefer to work in certain ways, so they may not want to work with a very large 500 headcount software company. They might like the more personalized 10, 20, 30 sort of size business. that works more in their sort of manner. So I think you're completely right. I don't think that everyone's going to go down the consolidation route. I think there's lots of opportunities there for people still.
Yeah, it is. For software, it's also two other things that is important in my opinion. Is like, okay, first it needs to be available, understandable and easy to use and give some benefits and for the users, of course. But it is also part that is important is availability goes with pricing. So most of the softwares are super expensive and that exclude a lot of companies. So if you can like offer a software, which like we are doing then, like almost very, also it's not for free, but it's like very affordable. You can put together modules and you pay as you go. It's a very low price per module. It makes it much more flexible also for the small companies to join in this digital race.
No, interesting. Well, yeah, I'm really excited to see what the next couple of years brings as well. Certainly from our point of view, we've obviously really focused our attention on the recruiting space in the digital shipping and maritime technology space over the last kind of 4 years or so. So it's been a dramatic shift for us. Initially, we were very focused on more on the commercial shipping recruitment, kind of brokers, operators, market analysts, as well as some digital. But as you said, since kind of the start of COVID, we've just seen a dramatic increase in the demand for skilled, either kind of on the technical side, more sort of software engineers, but mainly kind of product managers, software sales professionals and things. So it's really been our core focus and we've shaped our whole business around it, really.
But I think that's very, very, very good pick, Callum, because I think okay, so you can talk a lot about different skills, but if you don't understand the industry, which I think is your benefits and advantage, when you put together salespeople and digital marketing people, understanding the kind of skills they learned at school, etc., you need to convert them into understanding the industry. And the shipping industry, I've been in construction, I've been doing a lot of other industries, but mostly shipping. My heart is in shipping. But in shipping, you have a very complex maritime cluster with many different companies with different business models belonging together. And if you don't understand that, it's very difficult to communicate to the business. So I think the initiatives that you are taking in these days, trying also to help maritime software companies to recruit people who also understand the shipping business, that's very, very important to be successful in sales and marketing, is that you understand the business.
Yeah, I agree. And you understand the value of the solutions that they're selling to their end client, essentially. So if you can articulate that to any potential candidates, they need to know that this software is being sold to, let's say, for example, a charterer or a ship owner. They're completely different types of people, different businesses. So you kind of, if you can articulate it a little bit better, it's helpful for us to be able to do that to people. Cool. Okay. And then obviously you've been a successful business owner. You still are, obviously. You've kind of scaled and you've exited. So are there any tips or kind of bits of advice you could share to other entrepreneurs out there that are currently growing their companies, perhaps to make them a little bit more attractive for acquisition or for a sale at some point?
Yeah, I can share my opinions and experience. I would start out by saying don't initiate a startup if you only think about the exit, because there will be many exit options along your journey and they will be very different from each other. So if you have a good project with a good business model and a good team, there will always be exit options for your initiative. So don't do it only for the exit. Do it because you should only start a company because you think you have passion for something, you find a problem that you want to solve, you have the knowledge and you have the capabilities of building a team, because being a successful entrepreneur is mostly about long working hours, prioritizing always maybe the company before everything else in your life. So if you don't feel really passionate about what you are doing and have a good team that you enjoy spending time together with, you should never start a startup. So that's the most important steps, I think. And then I think the next thing is also, which is maybe a little bit not so much discussed in the startup world, is it's funding. Funding is something that the entrepreneur seems to forget. I think starting to when you have this idea, you decide to go on with your startup, you also need to think about the funding, because very often it is the capital and the investors who create most of the challenges in a startup, because very often things doesn't go according to plan. you need to do something else. You need to be agile. You do some mistakes, of course, as everyone does. So you really need to think through what type of investors you want in your company. When do you want to invest or invite investors, and how you would like to work together with them. So I think maybe most of the startups goes or failed because of this lack of investor strategy. Because that's not what you're interested in when you start a startup. I think also in my opinion, is like you have an idea, you have a good team, and then you attract funding in that order. Because if the money takes too much place in the early phase, you don't have this kind of energy in the company anymore. And that is a very, very important thing to keep as long as possible. And also for mature companies, I think that's a good energy to keep.
Yeah, no, I think I completely agree. And it relates to our business and lots of other kind of scaling companies at the moment, especially in slightly challenging times that need to be agile and adaptive to sort of try different avenues if one isn't quite working, and ultimately hopefully make you more valuable as you grow. And
you also need to think about, I think also it's important to think about the differences between countries in these days, because in some countries like the US and UK, you have like a more traditional access to tech capital and tech investors. You have a culture. You find the companies when investors understanding the different stages of a company's life cycle. But in Norway, that's not the case, I will say. We don't have a kind of tradition and culture for private capital as you have in other countries. Tax is also a differentiator between countries, and here in Norway, might not be the best country to start a startup for local entrepreneurs. But though Norway is a fantastic country for foreigners investors, because they are not taxed as the Norwegian investors are, and as a professional investor with a weak exchange rate, with a Norwegian krone exchange rate. We see a lot of foreign capital investors wanting to buy Norwegian startups, and have a lot of people interested in these companies as well. So it looks very attractive for foreign capital to invest in Norway, not necessarily Norwegian capital to invest in Norway.
No, I really agree. And definitely where you base your business is hugely important, as you say, if you are starting, not just from the investment and the financial reason, but also from the kind of mobility of the team, who you can help to attract and scale. And often we see lots of hubs. Well, actually, when we talk to some certain clients that are looking to perhaps hire into different geographies where they're not currently based, they often ask, okay, so where is the talent? Well, where are the main kind of pods of professionals that have some exposure to maritime, and particular maritime technology? And they're usually in the regions where you kind of assume. So the large shipping hubs, so obviously places like Rotterdam, Hamburg, Oslo, where the owners are traditionally is where they tend to be. If it's more of a kind of a post fixture platform, then they might be a little bit more closer to where the charterers are. So maybe some more in the Middle East or other areas of America, Houston in particular, and obviously London's huge. So yeah, really important about where you base your company, as well as the team and how you adapt over the years.
And I think by saying that, I also think that you also state out that this is a true global industry. So it actually doesn't matter where you have like your core organization in a way. You have to go where the talents are. And I also think that software today makes that possible. You have platform software, you have connectivity, you have accesses wherever you are, on all your devices. So it's just a matter of how you want to organize your business and attract the talents where the talents are. So I think, again, you are having a good business model focusing on the global business and the global industry, and not only for like businesses in the UK and in London specifically.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we kind of split our markets up into kind of different verticals, and we kind of call them in our bit of a crude way, but we kind of technical maritime software, and we have commercial maritime software, and we kind of class technical maritime software as more the vessel performance, voyage optimization, maintenance solutions, weather insights, that type of thing. Anything to do with the more of the vessel side, and perhaps the crewing and the performance of the ships. Whereas the commercial maritime software we class as the more kind of pre and post fixture solutions. So anything to do with insights into trade flows, vessel positioning, that type of thing. So yeah, fascinating landscape, and we're seeing more and more startups coming, especially from places like Israel, lots in the Netherlands and Germany and stuff. So I think there's still a lot of appetite for the space. So it's just a case of seeing which ones kind of get over the line and kind of get good traction, really.
But I think you need startups because we have so much legacy software around, and that legacy software is not able as the only alternatives to actually bring this industry into digital transformation. So you need the startups. That's actually something that you should welcome. But of course, the startups needs to show their reason for being there, and they need to be stayers, and they need to have patient investors backing them. Otherwise, they will be lost in quite a very short time. Mm-hmm. So it's a kind of symbiosis of startups and legacy software and investors, etc. So that's what is needed. But you are actually then offering to the industry what the industry needs the most, and that is talent and people. That's what we need the most. I mean, I would love to see every people on the earth being interested in the maritime industry.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very hard for people that aren't from shipping at all to suddenly kind of go into a business. So I worked at Clarkson's for 4 years or so, and I was very involved with their recruitment. And the people that stayed there and kind of really grew, and on the whole, they generally had some kind of prior connection to shipping. Yeah. So maybe not just in a broking role, but in either in marketing, some of the IT. If they have that buy-in to the shipping space, they sort of get the bug, then they love it. They thrive. But then you do also obviously get the new ideas and the insights from people from outside of the business. But when we recruit, typically our USP is be able to find people that combine maritime experience and software sales, or software experience is our key area. So if you can get those two pieces together, either by experience or through learning, it's a great, really attractive for businesses.
And it's a must mix, I will say. I mean, to be a successful sales person or marketing person in this business, you need to understand the industry. That's for sure. So I think that's a winning formula you have there, Callum. So
thank you. We're not the only company doing it, obviously, but we're trying our best to be the front of mind for people when they're looking to hire. So I really appreciate your feedback. And I've loved talking to you and learning more about the investment side of the digital space. So more on a personal side, if you don't mind me asking, I always like to sort of get to know people a bit better. So are there any kind of particular hobbies or passions that you'd like to share with us that maybe people don't know about you?
Yeah, when you are an entrepreneur, you don't have so much time to hobbies. But I can disclose that I'm the mother of 4 grown-up children, and to be able to spend some time with them, they are now and then working for Maritime Optima, and 2 of them are working regularly now as employees. That's a very good motivation for me to be
fantastic
working long hours. But I also have my one passion, which has been with me since I was 12 years old, and visiting Liverpool for the first time together with my father, with on board Höök Merchant was the name of the vessel, and I joined my first match at Anfield. So from that age, I've been traveling frequently to Liverpool every year together with my sons to watch them playing. So.
Brilliant, good. I'm actually just sort of going out to Liverpool quite regularly. I've just bought a little buy-to-let house in Liverpool. And
maybe we can co-invest.
I know. If you ever need somewhere to stay, there you go. But no, I love like the maritime heritage, obviously associated with Liverpool, and also the music scene with the Beatles, and I think it's called Matthew Street, and the roads, all the memorabilia around the city, the statues and things. Really cool place.
It's a maritime, also I think that it's quite unique place you have there actually in the UK, because you have the history, you have the traditions, you have a city who have been into a lot of troubles and no growth and high unemployment rates, etc. So I think it's it's a city who have been through a lot of challenges in the past, but now they are taking the next step also into the tech, So they have a lot of companies doing a lot of great things in tech, in software, in focusing on the maritime industry. Talent, they have the university. So I am a really big fan of the Liverpool city as well.
Cool, good. Well, hopefully we'll see you there one day. I'm next up. Although I am not a Liverpool fan, I won't say who I do support, but
you should disclose that when you ask me,
Okay, cool. Well, anything else you'd like to share? Any other words of wisdom or anything you'd like to take away?
I think I would say thank you very much for inviting me. And if you want to know more about Maritime Optima, you should go to our website and sign up for a free user account in ShipIntel Basic and start exploring the software. Because one of the things that we really want to do is to develop this software together with the users. So we really want people's feedback, either if they are good or bad or something we can improve and learn from, or you're happy by using it. So we want this to be a kind of community software. So if you want to check it out, you should do that.
Yeah, no. And if anyone that wants to contact you personally, are you okay if people reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have any questions about the business or investment in shipping, that type of thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us and really enjoyed this discussion. And I look forward to speaking again soon about some other projects, hopefully. Thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, Callum, and it's a pleasure meeting you as well. And good luck with your project. Okay. And I hope we stay in touch and see each other.
We will do. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Maritime SoftwareHub. That was a really interesting and valuable conversation, I thought, with Kristin, and certainly a number of takeaways I'm going to kind of digest and think about in relation to my own business. So I'm very excited to learn about how she approaches purchasing and investing in particular businesses. Seems very much focused on the team as a key driver, which is completely understandable. And also it's really interesting to learn about Maritime Optima's freemium model, something I don't see too often and I haven't heard too many businesses adopting. So it's great to see that they're getting a lot of success on the back of that. So thank you again for listening to the podcast. Really appreciate all your views, your support, and the follows and subscribes. So thank you again. Got another 2 or 3 really interesting episodes lined up, and they'll be out in the coming weeks. Thank you again. Speak soon.